Hello YouTubers, this is Music Soar here once again with another one of my top 50 albums of all time. This one is number 28, and for this album it is AC/DC's Back in Black. Now I know some of you are going to say this album should be a lot higher on the list, maybe top 10 or whatever, but for me, I've always figured that this is not AC/DC's greatest album they ever did. I think it's a very good, strong album, but it is what it is. Now, some history before getting into this. Of course, most of you know, this is the first album to feature Brian Johnson on vocals. Bon Scott died a few months before the release of this album and never really got to work on it. They were just starting the groundwork for working on the album, and then he passed away, and it brought in a new voice to AC/DC. Now the track listing is Hell's Bells, Shoot to Thrill, What Do You Do for Money, Honey, Giving the Dog a Bone, Let Me Put My Love Into You, Back in Black, You Shook Me All Night Long, Have a Drink on Me, Shake a Leg, and Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. Now, signature song off this album could be a few. You could use Hell's Bells, Back in Black, You Shook Me All Night Long, and maybe even Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. Now the hidden gem off this album is Let Me Put My Love Into You. I quite enjoyed that song. I thought it was a pretty darn good song from AC/DC. Especially in the way it was sung and the lyrical aspect to it. Now, is this a landmark album? Yes, since it is the first to feature Brian Johnson on vocals, so I guess it is a landmark album. And listening to it, I actually quite enjoyed listening to it. I've always enjoyed listening to it. Now, is an album that I can go back to whenever I want to listen to it? Not really. It's one of those where I'll listen to a few songs here and there, and that's about it of it. Never really listened to the whole album all that much. Lyrically, vocally, it was a pretty good record. I wouldn't say it's overly amazing vocally, but it was pretty good. Rhythmically was very good musically. I always liked the drumming of Phil Rudd mixed with Malcolm Young's rhythm guitar playing, which is pretty good. Like, that was a great thing. AC/DC, like Guns N' Roses, had a very good, I think, rhythm section of rhythm guitar, bass, and drummer. They were all really good. Now, the album to me has always felt like it's overrated. It's not this much here, this much there, whatever. It just always to me felt like this album always gets more hype, I think, than anything, which I never really got, because it was a good album, it's a decent album, but it's not one of the greatest albums of all time in terms of the top 20, which to me is a pretty suggestive list. You could listen to my top 20 and be like, what the fuck is he talking about? I don't like this album. But for me, this album I think fit really good right here. And yeah, so this is Music Soar here once again with another one of my top 50 albums of all time, AC/DC's Back in Black. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe down below. This is Music Soar here once again. Peace.